Hey there, coaches. I'm Rich Prado, owner of Play In School and host of Travel Ball Talk, where I talk to travel ball coaches from the best organizations about the current and future state of travel baseball. Today's episode features Mario Jimenez, the director of baseball at Inspiration Academy in Bradenton, Florida. If you've been following Travel Ball Talk, this episode is a kind of convergence of two topics that seem to have weaved together here into one. The idea of faith and baseball combined with the academy concept. Prior to diving into everything that AI offers, we learn how Mario went from a completely unrecruited high school player to coaching MLB hitters. I hope you enjoy this episode of Travel Ball Talk. All right, welcome back to another episode of Travel Ball Talk. Now, if you guys have been listening along, we've been heading out to my second favorite state in the country, Colorado, a whole lot recently. You know, we had coach from the Slammers on earlier. We had Keith Wall from Complete Game Ministries. We've had Scott from USA Prime, and today we're having Mario Jimenez from Inspiration Academy, but he's in Florida by way of Colorado. So, but we'll get to that in a second. But Mario runs Inspiration Academy, which is located down in Bradenton, Florida. And you guys know, if you've been listening, that I am super interested in the academy setup, these alternatives to the traditional public school and even the traditional private school settings that we're so familiar with. You know, I'm going to probably say it now and probably say it 5 or 6 or 10 times. These academies are not for everybody. And we're going to learn a lot about Inspiration Academy. But, you know, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But just like NLA in Alabama and just like TNXL down in Orlando, we've had a couple of those guys on the air. Those academies aren't for everybody either. So, Mario, appreciate you coming on the line, and I am super excited to learn about Inspiration Academy. So I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rich.
Mario, for those of us who don't know you super well, can you give us the quick bio on you, and then let's jump into Inspiration Academy afterwards. How'd you come to be in this baseball world?
Yeah, so when I was a high school player, obviously loved the game, wanted to compete at the next level, but I didn't have any opportunities. So I wasn't extremely talented. I really had to grind for everything I had. My father actually drove me across the United States just trying to find me an opportunity. My dad loved me so much, and he saw the passion I had for the game. Didn't have an opportunity until I found a walk-on opportunity about 1,500 miles away in a small junior college at Battle Creek, Michigan. Went there for 2 years, loved it, got better, got stronger, got faster, and got a opportunity after JUCO to play at Division II in Florida, Palm Beach Atlantic. Grinded that thing out, was named captain of the team. Actually ended up getting a chance to play some pro ball out in Texas. So getting a chance to basically, at 18, wasn't sure if I was ever going to play again, to being 23 years old and playing in front of 2,500 fans in Texas. It was a long journey for sure for my playing career.
That's a pretty awesome story. I tell you what, the support is crucial in this game, and not to go into a long sidetrack, but you look at these kids who get drafted and end up in pro ball. Some of the differences come on what kind of support they have at home.
Exactly.
The support at home can dictate whether you can make it another year, right? If you're not making any money, well, support from mom and dad can be all the difference. All the difference in the world. Now, you made it 1,500 miles away. Where were you at during high school?
I played at Bayshore in Bradenton, Florida.
So you're back at home now, which has got to be awesome.
It is. It's great to be back in Bradenton.
All right. So you played some pro ball.
Yep.
And like it does for everybody, it comes to an end at some point. What's the next step?
So I was really interested in being a college coach. So I got offered the grad assistant position at Palm Beach Atlantic, my alma mater.
Okay.
I got a chance to get my master's degree there for 2 years. I worked underneath Hall of Famer Gary Carter. He gave me the opportunity for it. Yep. So then from there, after being there for 2 years, got my grad degree, went back to Bradenton, got offered a full-time position at IMG Academy. Got a chance to I spent essentially parts of 8 years at IMG as a coach there. I really enjoyed my time there, learned a lot about being a coach and working with different kids of different demographics. And I was really passionate about getting a chance to work with the kids, but I was more of a new school kind of guy. I really wanted to get a chance to video kids and do a little bit more of the technology-based stuff. This is about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that stuff wasn't quite, as mainstream as it is now.
Sure.
So getting a chance to work with these guys and getting a chance to really impact them through video analysis, stuff like that, caught the eye of some coaches and some people in the baseball community. And what ended up happening is I ended up taking over as the director of hitting out in Colorado, where I essentially worked as a major league hitting consultant. So what that means essentially is major leaguers hire me and my business partner, and we would get a chance to train those guys in season, out of season. And so did that in Colorado for 2 years after I left IMG.
Incredible. And while you were in Colorado, did you end up hooking on, in this high school age group, or whether travel ball or doing lessons with younger kids or anything like that?
Oh yeah, huge. Colorado actually was very much up and coming. A lot of great talent there, kids who really just needed great information, and having a place pop up like Barto's Diamond Sports did in Parker, Colorado, which is just south of Denver, was a tremendous asset to the community because you were able to bring some of the best baseball minds together in one facility and really help change the culture there. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, again, to just repeat, we've had a few guys from Colorado, and it's really interesting kind of learning the not so distant past that travel ball wasn't a big deal like it has been in other pockets of the country, where it sounds like the high school programs really had a stronghold because they were able to keep their kids year round. And so their travel ball history is a little shorter than it is, say, down in Florida or here in Virginia where I am.
It is, and they don't really have any. The only Division I baseball school in that wonderful, huge state. That's a lot of baseball crazy people out there. The only Division I program is the University of Northern Colorado. So, I mean, there's a lot of talent out there, and not a lot of people get a chance to get exposed in Colorado. So getting a chance to work out of a place like Barto's Diamond Sports like I did really helped to start to shift the tide for the kids in Colorado.
Yeah, huge. So so you're out in Colorado, you're doing consulting with big league hitters, pro hitters, you're working with Barto's. You end up somehow back in Bradenton. Fill in the gap for us.
Cool story how I ended up back at Inspiration Academy. When I was at IMG, I worked with obviously as a head coach there, and one of the players that I worked with was Sam Spear, and so the family gives me a call of Sam, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to start a school. We want to have an IMG kind of flavor to it, but we really want to focus on discipling the kids and developing kids holistically, which for me is my passion. I really love and enjoy sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ, but through the game of baseball." So they gave me that opportunity. They called. I was very intrigued with that because as a major league hitting consultant, like I was in Colorado, I'm on the road in different major league cities working with different major leaguers, but I'm very much behind the scenes. There's not a whole lot of team element to it. I missed being on the field. And so getting a chance to be back on the field was a huge draw for me. And so my wife and I prayed about it, and we felt like coming down and starting Inspiration Academy back in Florida would be a great passion and a great opportunity, and we took it.
That's funny how things come full circle like that. You mentioned the word holistic. When I was on the Inspiration Academy website, one of the things that jumped out at me was a phrase where it's talked about how you guys embrace training from the inside out.
Yeah.
Is that sort of another way of talking about holistic coaching?
Yes, for me, baseball is just debate, Rich. I really enjoy. People come and they see me and they're attracted to inspiration because they're like, oh wow, you coached big leaguers and you guys have nice facilities and Florida baseball sounds amazing, and yeah, that is great. But really, it's just our avenue to get in the door and speak life into the kids. So my job, during the day is just as important, which is mentoring kids, walking through issues with their girlfriends, walking through adversity. These types of things is a big part of my job as well. So that's really what I mean by holistic. It's dedicated to discipleship of the kids through Christ while also giving them high-level baseball training. I think it's a unique niche that we found.
All right, Hank, let's zoom out a little bit and talk about what Inspiration Academy is. We've been talking about some of the details, I think, but let's zoom out and talk us through, what exactly it looks like and feels like over there.
Yeah, so let me say this first. It's a culture of love, trust. We've really got a lot of great people, and it starts with the founders of the school, Eddie and Claire Spear. They really have dedicated their lives. Eddie and Claire retired young. They bought the school. They got a chance to come down here and make a difference, and they've basically put their life savings into this place to really make an impact for the kingdom, eternal impact for Christ. And so when you have that kind of leadership that's bought in, you can't help but be attracted to that. And so having those types of people around working with you on a daily basis is critical. So you've got the school end of things. The kids come to school every day. They're in class. They've got baseball training worked into their days. So you may have math class at 9 a.m., and then you've got your strength class at 10 a.m., and then you've got English class at 11, and then you've got small group hitting at 12. It just varies. And so getting a chance to have that type of flexibility in an academic environment like this is very unique, Rich. So getting a chance to work through that is critical, and if you're going to take what you can at this level and taking it to the next level. So that's been great for us, and getting a chance to work with people who are dedicated like you are to their field. So we've got tennis, that's a really high-level deal, and then you've got academics and different subcategories of the academics, people who are invested. STEM is a big deal now. So it's a pretty good deal for different people. You don't have to just be a baseball player. It really is a bunch of different people coming together through their own expertise for the gospel of Christ.
All right, so let's break this down a little bit more. It sounds like, because you're talking, I heard the word, they're coming to school every day. So that gives me a hint that it's a little different than in LA. We had Tyler Corson on the show. He runs Next Level Academy up in Alabama. The majority of his guys, we learned, all board with him. They stay on site with him. The alternative to that is TNXL in Orlando with Brian Martinez. The academic piece is more virtual. It's they've got the virtual high school down there, and so that's kind of, I'm doing like quote unquote, that's almost like homeschool, or basically is like homeschool. But your guys, you're saying they're coming to you. So I'm assuming they're mostly locals.
Yes, mostly local, Rich, but we actually we're starting to draw a little bit more nationally now that we're becoming a little bit well known in our 7th year.
Okay, so you do have a boarding option, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what would you say last year, what was the split? Was it 50-50?
The breakdown, we probably had, including postgrads, we probably had a total of about 70 baseball players. I would say about 30 of those kids board right next door at our apartment complex. Oh,
you're pushing 50%.
Yes.
I didn't expect that. Although I don't know what I was expecting. But that's pretty cool. And so you have a housing setup that's like off campus, but it's right next door.
Right next door, Rich, and we also have 6 of our own coaches that live amongst the players. So we do just like we do for kids, where kids are coming from across the country. We look for coaches from across the country. So we get a chance to find some of the most highly qualified, young, hungry coaches who want to learn in this type of environment. We hire those coaches, and part of their pay is to be able to live next door with the kids. So it's actually a pretty unique setting so that parents feel comfortable having their kids amongst the coaches.
Let's take a short break from this call to talk about my day job, video. In 2019, if you aren't leveraging film to market your guys, you are doing them a disservice. So where do I come in? Well, filming one guy on your iPhone and texting it to coaches or posting it to Twitter is easy. But filming 25, 50, 100, or 200 is really hard. And that's why you haven't done it already. That's why smart coaches partner with Play in School. We do all the work. We come to you. We can film 100 guys in the time it would take you to film just 4 or 5. If you'd like to see every team we partner with, visit playinschool.com/teams. Contact me today to discuss the details. Now, back to the call. You beat me to the punch. That was going to be my next question. I mean, that's such a big deal when you're sending, call it a 15-year-old. You're sending them away, and you're worried about, the in school part. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
It's the hours when they're not in the hallway, so to speak, or on the field, where
exactly
where you get a little bit nervous. Pretty cool setup, inviting coaches or trying to hire coaches from around. Is this? I'm just thinking out loud. Is this type of situation where you're seeing a coach come in for a year or 2 years, and then they're moving on, or are you having guys who are sticking it out for a longer duration?
Well, as of right now, we've almost become a feeder program for high-level colleges. A lot of people, especially our network, they know what we're doing down here. And so I think in the last 2 years, we're going to end up sending guys off with offers to coach at the Division I level. This will be the second time in 2 years we've had a coach get offered a Division I level coaching opportunity. And I think a lot of it has to do is because they understand what type of coach they're going to get once they get an Inspiration Academy coach. They're going to get a quality guy who knows what he's doing, and he's going to be holistically trained, and he's going to be a guy who's very, very reliable. So I think that's also a unique niche and a unique fill we can bring in to our coaches and say, hey, look, you have a dream of coaching college and high-level college one day? Come down here. We'll train you, and we'll get you to the point where you are marketable to high-level schools for yourself.
And for a young coach, let me tell you, living in Bradenton for a year or 2 years is not the worst thing that's ever going to happen to you.
And Rich, we're 5 minutes from the beach. The guys, they'll live.
If I'm hearing this correctly, and I might be missing some nuance, but it sounds like you've got room and board pretty well covered.
Yes,
that's applications will start flooding in, I'm sure.
Rich, we've got 12 full-time coaches here. We're all here 9 to 6. It's a baseball think tank. We've got some of the most highly qualified coaches here, including Kurt Wilson, who's been a major league hitting consultant. Troy Mattis, he's been a pitcher in the big leagues. He was a pitching coach of the Orioles. So you've got some highly qualified guys who really provide a learning opportunity for coaches as well as players.
All right, so speaking of coaches, this is a perfect segue. Speaking of coaches, I'm scrolling down the website, and I think to myself, what a coincidence. There's another Mario Jimenez on the staff. What are the chances of that? Who is this guy, and how did he get the same name as you?
Well, that's my father, and he was my baseball coach growing up, and he was a hero of mine, obviously. And so as a young man following him around as he would play ball, I always followed him around. And so he's been my inspiration. He was the guy who always, even when I struggled, Rich, he always said, hey, I believe in you. I know you can do this. I know you're going to grind through this. So you can imagine, like I said earlier, as you're searching for a college and no one wants you, but your dad still believes in you, that stuck with me, Rich. And so getting a chance now where I'm at a point where I oversee baseball operations, I said, why not bring the guy in who believed in me most? And so getting a chance to work with my dad every day is a dream come true.
And I'm just guessing, just doing some math in my head. He was probably either at retirement age or nearly retired from his whatever his day job at the time was. Is he still doing whatever that piece was? And is he with you guys part time, or is he a full timer over there?
He's here full time, but he's still the hardest working guy I know. He doesn't take much time off, so he works part time elsewhere as well in order to be here. So he still gets up at 4:30 in the morning in order to get here. Yeah, he's that guy. So nothing's changed, even though he's catching up towards 60 years old now.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So I want to learn a little bit more before we hit record. You were pointing out some details about inspiration that I think are worth sharing, and you threw out some words and some programs that I'm not necessarily familiar with, but I think it's worth sharing. You talked about it was a Florida empowerment program, I think was the name of that, and
yes.
and a voucher program. How does that impact what you guys are doing over there? And tell everybody what it is before we get too deep into it.
Of course, yeah. The Florida Empowerment Scholarship is a wonderful opportunity for kids who maybe wouldn't be able to afford to come to private schools. So the governor of Florida has just signed into law that the Florida Empowerment Scholarship gives kids an opportunity. If you're a family of four and you make less than $80,000 a year, you essentially can get private school paid for. So that's a wonderful opportunity that really brings in a lot of middle-class families that are baseball families, love the idea of coming to Inspiration, but just can't swing the price. So getting a chance to have that and get a chance to come to a place like this is a huge blessing, and it really opens and expands not only Inspiration's bandwidth or opportunities to get kids in the door, but any private school. I think any kid should be able to pick any school they want to go to. And if you're a baseball player and you're really interested and want to be the best baseball player you can be, then why not be able to go to the school that has a good baseball program? So whether it's us or another facility. So I think this is just a great opportunity in the state of Florida that they've launched, and I think it's going to help be a game changer, not only for Inspiration, but all private schools.
Now, this is literally the first time I'm ever hearing about this program since I'm not from Florida. Do they cap the amount that they'll cover?
I believe they'll basically cover, from what I understand, they'll basically cover between $7,000 and $9,000 of your tuition. So that's a huge, huge chunk. And let's say a private school like Inspiration for middle school is $10,500. That puts a lot of families back in the ballpark.
Yeah,
if you're able to get $9,000 covered and be able to then just pay $1,500 for tuition. That's a game changer, Rich. So really I think in Florida having this type of program for kids to be able to come to schools like Inspiration Academy is going to be a real boom to private schools.
Well, I tell you what, this topic's on my in front of my head every day. We have a little one, and we intentionally moved into the city because we like the city. Okay? But unfortunately, the city we live in has the worst schools.
Yeah.
Not like exaggerating. It's literally the worst schools in the state. Ranked dead last. But we want to live here. So what does that mean for me? That means private school.
Correct.
So I already know it's gonna be a challenge. I got to find out if Virginia has a setup like the Empowerment Scholarship. That's incredible.
It's a game changer.
All right, so tell me about your guys on kind of the fall schedule versus the spring schedule, because you guys aren't playing. This is travel ball talk, but guys, they don't run a travel ball program. But because this is my show and I get to have on whoever I want, I'm interested in these academies, and so I want to find out. So talk to me about what the general setup in the fall looks like and what the general setup in the spring looks like.
Yeah, so Rich, in the past we've kind of dabbled in some travel teams. The quality of what we wanted to be wasn't where we wanted it. So we decided to basically hone back into our academy kids, and so the kids will get here in the fall. They get here in August. They get assessed. We digest where they're at, where their game's at, where their strength is. And then from there, we'll basically provide a roadmap for these kids throughout the fall, and they're going to train intentionally. Now, our high school kids in the fall, they don't play other travel ball teams. Many times a lot of kids here in Florida, they play a lot of travel ball. They're getting a chance to work with their team. They're going to play weekend tournaments. Our kids don't do that. We focus intentionally 5 days a week on developing programs such as the driveline velocity program, the weighted bat program that a lot of people do. We're able to really dive in with these guys intentionally in the weight room and get them bigger and stronger and faster. And, Rich, we've seen tremendous results and numbers we can prove, whereas a kid who, goes on from playing summer ball to then playing fall ball and then goes straight into spring ball, that's a lot. You don't really get a chance to really intentionally develop the way a lot of kids should, especially kids at 14 to 16 years old who really just need to understand how their body moves. So our falls, we don't play any games. And at the end of the fall, we'll basically be doing a college showcase. We'll get a chance to digest where each kid is in the college placement process. And then that leads us into our spring, which is our full-time game schedule. And we'll play a high school schedule, varsity-wise, of about 35 games. So because we're independent, we play a little bit more than a normal high school would.
Now, are you kind of getting the advantages of this growing academy world where it's becoming a little more organized? I think, who was it? Is it PBR that's running an academy league?
Yeah.
Now, are you guys hopping in on that, or are you still building your schedule out independently?
Yeah, we're considering it, Rich. We think, right now our niche is unique because, yes, we're an academy in terms of baseball, but we also don't want to, we also want to consider, our unique situation. IMG for us is 5 minutes away, so we get a chance to play a dozen games against those guys every day, every year, because they respect us. We've got a great relationship. So, having to travel across the state or across the Southeast U.S. for a league right now, is it part of our deal? I don't know if that's the deal right now, so we're not really sure. But because of our unique situation here in Florida, we're a popular school. We're in Bradenton. It's a great population. There's a lot of schools that want to play us. A lot of schools from up north come down, as you know, Rich.
Yeah.
And so we don't really have to do a whole lot of traveling. And so I really like staying at home and being able to have dinner with my wife at night. So that'd be great to continue that.
No doubt. I actually just pulled up your schedule on the website, and I am seeing multiple games against IMG, but then I'm also seeing, looks like just a bunch of high schools, a bunch of some mostly private schools. I'm assuming you're playing.
Yep, mostly private schools. We look for some better competition in terms of the area. Rich, Tampa Bay area, there's a lot of great baseball down here, so you don't have to look very far.
That's right. Very cool, man. What would be? Let me ask you. I've started asking folks this question. When you send a guy on to college, they spread their wings and they head on. How do you think the college guys, the college coaches, how do you think they describe your players, the alumni of Inspiration Academy?
Well, I think first off, your ability to relate with your players is critical. So how can I relate to my players? Well, you've kind of heard my story, Rich. Mm-hmm. I really had to grind my way through this thing. I didn't have an opportunity. I didn't have any offers. So I think bringing that kind of mentality and showing the kids, hey, I'm here to fight for you. I know exactly where you are. It's a difficult circumstances. There's a lot of ups and downs in the decision-making of which school should I go to and where's a good fit for me. I think when the players understand they have an advocate in their corner, they buy into your program. Yeah. And because they buy into their program, they may not be the strongest Christian in the world, but they're going to respect the program, and they're going to be a part of it and not be a detriment to it. So our kids don't have to be believers to come here. So that's a unique deal. A lot of private schools, a lot of Christian schools say you have to be a follower of Jesus in order to be here. We don't do that. We take kids in, we show them the love of God wherever they are, and we try to get them to that next level. So that way when they get to a point where they are able to be placed in college, those colleges call me, and they know that they're not going to get any fluff about who this kid is and what type of character he is and what kind of player he is. So they're going to get a clear description and who this guy is. And so I let the kids know that, Rich. I let them know, listen, I'm not going to lie to these college coaches for you. I'm going to tell them everything I've seen from your time in the weight room to the classroom to on the field to the locker room. That is the holistic kind of view we're taking, because that's what colleges want to do. And as a college coach, Rich, you want to know the truth about a kid. You're not going to spend the next 4 years with a kid that's going to be a turd on the field.
Yeah.
So really, kids. We last year we had 35 players. All of our players got college baseball opportunities, offers somewhere across the country, and I think it's a lot easier now in year 7 than it was in year 1, because people understand what they're going to get out of an Inspiration Academy player. They're going to get a grinder. They're going to get someone who's mentally prepared for it because of the strenuous stuff they have to do here every single day. And they're going to get someone who's really greater than themselves. They're not selfish players. We really want to help build up a team element, and the IA way is something we beat into these kids every single day. And it makes things a lot more fun when you're playing for something greater than yourself. Sacrificing for your brother, John 15:13, is one of our pillars, and we really live that every day. And when you're 0 for 4 and you stink today, but you're able to bring your teammates up and continue to lift them up, that kind of energy changes everything about their dugout, and that's the kind of player we want to send to college.
Awesome stuff. You mentioned going 0 for 4. Baseball's tough. Baseball's hard, but sometimes the real world can be too. Can you tell us a struggle? Inspiration Academy, you said it's been this will be the 7th year. Can you tell us a struggle that you guys have had, and maybe how you kind of overcame that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you're gonna walk through adversity. It doesn't define you. It's 90% how you respond to it. So you've really got to understand how you're going to respond. So we use biblical principles through these things for the kids. For me personally, getting a chance to walk through the good and the bad of this place. We've gone through, financial hardships, everything from kids coming and going to, you failing. I think just getting a chance to fail forward is critical, and continue to learn and grow from your mistakes. For me, getting a chance to learn how to be a better person, a better coach, and learning how to really trust people more, and giving and delegating more has been something that I've learned over the 7 years here. But getting a chance to be around, like I said, people like Eddie and Claire Spear, who are putting everything they have into the school. They've given everything they have financially. Eddie is, like I said, retired, but he works here 24/7 at the school. He's not a guy who's just a fundraiser or a guy who's a money guy and you never see him. He's in the trenches with you every single day, showing up with kids, helping them walk through adversity, like these kids are his own sons and daughters. I mean, that's what you want out of someone who's been as successful as he is. I mean, the guy's made over $100 million, and here he is in the school grinding out disciplinary issues. Who does that? I mean, why aren't you on an island with a yacht, right? I mean, but that's the kind of people that you're dealing with here. And when you have that type of buy-in, it changes everything. And so through the good and the bad of the school, and, sometimes the bills are getting paid faster than other times, but when you're around people that you trust and that are going to work together for the common good, it really changes your perception. So that's something that I've seen here, and that's what intrigues me to stay here now in year 7. It's where I want to be. It's the people I want to be around. It's about the people.
Cool. That's awesome stuff, man. Talk to me about some on-field. Let's talk baseball.
Yeah.
Talk baseball. What's a little bit different between Inspiration Academy and any of the other schools around, from the on-field perspective?
Yeah. So from on-field, we really try to treat it like I did with my major league clients. The big leaguers, they get done in October, and then they go into off-season mode. So basically from November to, spring training, they're grinding out mechanics, they're working out, they're doing their true off-season mode of tweaking stuff. So we try to provide that type of setting for our kids. So our basic off-season mode is basically August through December. So we go into really assessing these kids with tangible data. We use Rhapsody, we use Blast Motion. A lot of these higher level technology pieces that some places are now starting to pop up at the major league level, we use that. So we're going to be using slow motion cameras, and we really want to help design pitches and really understand what mechanical advantages the kids can find for both pitching and hitting. So we're basically going to break these kids down in a lab. So they're going to be our lab mice for the next 4 months, and so getting a chance to work that, the kids trust us. They work through it. They see the improvements. The parents get constant communication on how it's going. You can track it online. All of our stuff is online on a platform where, just like you would want to know, Rich, how your kid's doing in school, you would go online and check his grades. Our parents could do the exact same thing for us based on our online portal. They get a chance to go on there and see how little Johnny's trending. How's his bat speed working? Is it trending upwards? How's his squat? Is he squatting more? Is he benching more? Is he deadlifting more? Everything is online for the parents to see, and so that type of transparency is something I think you don't see it a lot of places. I think a lot of people try to, basically distance themselves from the parents because they understand how many issues they're going to deal with. Yeah, sure. We take a totally different approach. Actually, we will have constant meetings with the kids and with the families, and we'll post everything, basically exposing ourselves as coaching staff to say, hey, we're going to kind of let you in here. We're going to let you behind the veil. Yeah. Trust us, but we're going to work together on this, and it may not be perfect, but understand that I'm just tired, Rich, of being judged by how little Johnny does in the field if he's batting third and playing shortstop. That's not realistic for a lot of kids. So then you're the bad guy when Johnny's hitting the bench. Yeah. Well, let's slow down here. Let's go back to the data and let's see why. What are the differences here? What can we do to help Johnny get from point A to point B? What your son's point A and point B is completely different from somebody else. So we really try to bring tangible data to the party so parents can understand exactly what they're getting, and that way they're more on our side when they're like, oh, okay, well, what can I do to improve them? What can we do to improve them? That's great. I'm glad you asked. We'll come together and let's do it together, as opposed to waiting till the spring, the kid gets on the field and he's not playing, then you're the bad guy, coach. That's not what we want to do here. So we try to be a little bit more transparent with the families.
That's pretty good. I can already anticipate some pushback when you said that these guys aren't playing a lot during the fall or any during the fall. But,
yep.
But you know what? If you look at what's actually happening in the fall from a recruiting standpoint, it's not a lot. Listen, the summers have gotten so efficient where a college coach can see a kid 20 times.
Yep.
Do they need to see the kid the 21st time? Or, right? I just saw him 20 times in the last 8 weeks. I think I'm good. I think
we're good. I think we got a pretty good idea what we're getting here.
Right. So to me, and people might argue or disagree with me, but to me, I think 90% of what's going on in the fall is kind of becoming irrelevant.
Correct. And that's something, Rich, I actually wrote an article about this. I can send you a draft of it, but it's called How Elite, quote unquote, elite travel ball teams steal your money. And it's got actually 20,000 likes on Facebook, somewhere around there. And this article basically goes on to say, how you get these teams, and you get a lot of these teams, and they get their top prospects, and all those top prospects play for free. And then you've got teams B, C, and D basically financing Team A. And so that to us is something we try to educate our families on because they get excited about getting different offers and stuff like that from different organizations. Yeah. We want to educate our families on which organizations are doing it right and which ones are basically trying to finance their elite team that travels across the country.
Yeah, so one of the big traps for the travel ball teams is when they're putting schedules together for the fall that look exactly like their schedule that they ran for the summer. And 10 years ago, that was fine. That was good. And you would go to a fall event and there would be coaches there. But now You go to a fall event, and there's really not that many coaches there. And oh, by the way, the calendars have changed and continue to change. And you know, I've got it actually right in front of me. Once we get to the end of August, actually, it's not even the end of August. Once we get to August 19th, there are only roughly 4 more weeks of contact periods. What that means is where coaches can get on the road and go watch guys. And we're talking about D1 coaches. And until March 1st. Until March 1st. It's you know, that's sort of a big deal. So
that's minimal. And oh, by the way, you know, if you're a sophomore, you know, like you said, the D1 coaches can't go out the majority of the fall. At that point, the Division II schools are not recruiting, for the most part, sophomores and maybe even juniors, because they know that if a kid gets a D2 offer, you know, as a sophomore, well, are you going to accept that offer as a sophomore? Probably not, because what do you want?
Right.
You want to get a big D1 offer, right? So many times I've been a former Division II coach. We didn't even recruit underclassmen at all, because we were basically waiting for all the big fish, the big Division I, to pick off the kids, and then we were basically left with the left behinds and the kids who, you know, JUCO transfers, or, you know, kids who are going into their senior year and don't have a place to play. Then we would try and hop in and grab a kid, but for the most part, the fall circuit is not necessary for most kids.
Right. So that was a little bit of a tangent, well, kind of a long way around of hammering home why I support what you're doing, as far as you don't need to go on and have a big schedule during the fall, if any.
Yeah.
And another kind of tangent on this. Listen, you brought it up about the travel ball teams. Listen, everybody who's been on this call has brought up how expensive travel baseball has become. Listen, I've got a laundry list of ways you can save money. One of which is adjust your fall. Instead of playing, you know, 5 or 6 events that are going to cost you $1,000 to $1,500 per team per weekend, well, let's think about smarter ways of doing it. Trim down the schedule. You instantly save money. And instead of playing a big tournament with 10 teams or 20 teams or 50 teams that's going to be in front of basically nobody, well, why don't we play a 3-way doubleheader at a college that makes sense for those 3 teams? Very highly targeted, right? So you're putting a bunch of dudes in front of what's probably going to be one college coach. You pay for umps, you bring your own baseballs, and you sleep in your own bed. So,
exactly, and that's something we do at the end of our fall. We essentially invite down our Scout Day weekend, where you get a chance to bring in a select group of colleges to be able to recruit our guys on site. Everyone gets to stay home. We save money, and really you just have to take care of some of the coaches coming down. Yeah,
that's one of the kind of the unspoken, well, unless you're me, because I tweet this out all the time. Well, mom and dad, yes, things are getting expensive. But mom and dad, I know how to save you $500 to $1,000 a weekend. Just don't go. Absolutely. Don't go. Exactly. Send your kid. Let them grow and develop. Let them have a long weekend on the road playing baseball. They'll be fine. And you know what? I get it. You want to see your kid do. You don't want to miss a thing. I get that. But if it really is too expensive, then stay home. You'll save $500 in hotels and meals. Done.
Yeah. And for us, Rich, you know, getting a chance to provide opportunities for kids it's in our lifeblood. I mean, so, you know, we try to provide college placement opportunities for kids, but also Wednesday nights. Every Wednesday night, 6:30, we do private lessons for kids in the community. Anybody can come. You get free training from coaches who have coached major leaguers, and we just want to be a blessing to the kids of Bradenton, because we understand that, like you said, a lot of kids just cannot afford to get private lessons or do these big travel ball type things, and I know I couldn't as a kid, so I really want to give back to the community, and that's how we do it.
That's interesting, and my mind immediately went to, I could see, and I'm kind of curious, do some of your older players come out on Wednesday night and act as coaches for some of the younger kids in the community?
Actually, yeah. So maybe not necessarily on Wednesday night yet. We launched this in June, and so all our kids have been gone since then. But we do a lot of camp work, and a lot of that stuff is cheap, very cheap, if not free. And many times, a lot of our kids eventually know they want to get into coaching, want to kind of hang around us. So they're constantly asking questions or being around, or even, Rich, getting a chance to help kids, work off some of their tuition. Again, kids, it's tough paying thousands of dollars for money. So we ask kids to step back and barter, come back in here and work some hours for us, and that gives the kids an opportunity to be around the coaching staff while also working off some of their tuition.
This is awesome stuff, man. This has been wonderful. Let's start working towards wrapping up. I'm going to put all the contact info, your Twitter, Inspiration Academy's Twitter, and the website inspirationacademy.com will all be on the show notes, and it's going to all be over at playinschool.com/Jimenez. That's Jimenez. But once you just wrap us up by, if there's any last things that you want to tell us about Inspiration Academy that you haven't already hit on.
Let me say first, I think, Rich, you getting a chance to do something like this in the community, in our baseball community, is outstanding. So many people will benefit from the education that the best coaches in the country are providing for them. So thank you for doing this. And at Inspiration Academy, we're really just trying to serve people from the inside out. Getting a chance to, our ultimate goal is to lead a nationwide revival for Christ through baseball. So kids come as they are. We take kids who are believers. We take kids who are not believers, and we say, hey, be open-minded, get a chance to work with us. We're going to train you up in the best way we know to go through biblical principles, and we're going to walk out life with you. We're not going to just be baseball coaches. This is something that's going to be, we have come in our office. Let's talk about girls, about some of the stuff that you're struggling with, and some of the stuff the kids hide from their parents. Rich, I can't tell you how many times I've had to have conversations with parents, and say, hey, look, we really need to walk this out with your son. And so I think getting a chance to walk it out with the coaches, the training is what it is. You're going to get great training, but you're going to get mentors who care. I think that's the difference.
Mario, this has been a lot of fun. I want you to hang on the line, but I think that's a great spot to end this call. Hang on the line 1 second.
Yep.
Again, guys, this is going to be, all the contact info will be over at playinschool.com/Jimenez. I appreciate you listening to Travel Ball Talk once again. I'm having so much fun bringing these shows to you each week. If you'd like to recommend a coach for the show, please don't hesitate to shoot me a note at rich@playinschool.com or DM me on Twitter at playinschool. Again, my name is Rich Prado. I'm the founder of Play in School. My goal is to continue to create products and services that add value to you, the travel ball coaches, your players, and their parents. Visit playinschool.com to see some of the ways we're doing that. Or better yet, let's set up a call. Until next time, thank you for listening to Travel Ball Talk.